got John Lee, managing partner of Clix Marketing, on the phone. There, John, you there?
I sure am. Hello.
Hey, John.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, no problem. But not a problem. Aaron
Sparks. Clix. That's C-L-I-X.
C-L-I-X, not C-K. So,
or CKS for that matter.
Right.
Or KS.
Or KS. Or there's no Z.
Don't worry, I've spent the last several years of my life explaining that ad nauseum, so it's all good.
Yeah.
We believe it. The site strategics thing has people all over the place too.
I've done it. Yeah. I think for the first year I did it wrong.
Yeah, that's all right. It happens.
So, John, me, Nate, and Aaron. Aaron couldn't be on the show today. He's
Aaron, Nate, and I.
You know, I was random story here. I was at Hobby Lobby with my wife, and I swiped my credit card, and I thought I twisted it out of the reader too soon. I said, "Oh, I didn't do that very good." And she go, "You didn't do that very well." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Wow.
You know when you're getting corrected at Hobby Lobby that you're having a bad day.
And then the Hobby Lobby cashier was like, "Yeah, I do that to my husband all the time too." So then we were walking away. I'm like, "Have a well day." And I showed them.
All right.
I showed
and I won.
Tom 1, Hobby Lobby 0.
I think it's 1-1 because she got the first correction. So Tom's got to go back, correct them one more time, and just to make sure that it makes it even.
Yeah. So John, tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got into the digital marketing industry?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a lot of folks, it just kind of happened into it. So it was in Bloomington, Indiana. Working for a company called Author Solutions, and just happened to meet the right people at the right time, and a couple of gentlemen who had come from the same company had started an agency called Hannipin Marketing, which is still thriving
in
Bloomington. That's right. Yeah, Pat East.
Yep, we're pretty familiar.
Yep, and then Joe Kirschbaum was the second employee there. Joe had actually been my manager at Author Solutions, and then they posted a job, and I became employee number 3. So it's one of those things where I didn't really have experience in PPC and digital advertising specifically.
Who does?
But
well,
exactly. Yeah, it's such a niche.
I still haven't found the college course that teaches anything about that stuff, especially at IU.
It doesn't exist. But yeah, no, I've always been a bit of a tech nerd and something of a fast learner, and so I came in and showed Pat and showed Joe that one, I was willing to learn, and that I'd already learned a lot just in preparation for the interview, and the rest, they say, is history.
That's great. And Hannipin, we follow quite a bit. I read a lot of the PPC Hero stuff, and I know that you're talking at the Hero Conference later this year, right?
That's right. So actually just spoke at HeroConf in Philadelphia last week. It was early last week, and then they've got their show coming up in London. I had the luxury, if you will, of speaking at the London show last year, and definitely looking forward to doing it again this year.
How many do they do a year?
2. One, it's kind of like a traveling road show in the U.S., so It's been in Indianapolis the first year, of course, and then Austin, Texas, Portland, Oregon, now Philadelphia, but then London, they gave that a shot last year for the first time, and great turnout, great folks, and so they're doing it again.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about Clix and what you guys do over at Clix that really kind of sets you apart from, obviously working at Hannipin, and you've had some interaction with WordStream. Did you work at WordStream as well? I
did. After I left Hannipin, had the opportunity to work in-house for a short period of time, and actually was the in-house manager for WordStream. So managing their paid search accounts, etc. And had a good time doing that. It lasted about 9 months, but my heart was still in the agency world, working with many clients, many accounts, and so had the opportunity to join Clix at the end of 2009, and just a couple of years later, 2011, actually had the opportunity to buy the company from the original owner, and so I went from being employee to owner, and have taken it and ran with it, and so that was we're fast coming up on 5 years since buying the company.
Congratulations
awesome.
And condolences.
Don't get me started, Doug. Lots of lost nights of sleep. But no, in terms of what sets us apart, I mean, we consider ourselves a boutique agency, and that's not necessarily an exclusive right here. But focusing on paid search, which was our bread and butter, but display and retargeting, and we've really taken to social advertising. And at this point, as an agency, we're about 60% search and display, 40% social in terms of ad spend passing through our doors. And that is unique in this space. And that just goes to show, one, our willingness to tackle new tech as it comes through in the advertising world, and not only tackle it, but succeed at it for our clients. And so we're going to continue doing that, keep driving forward and have some fun along the way.
That's awesome. That's great. So, obviously we were out at SMX West. But sadly, I don't think that we made it to your talk specifically. The three of us were running around like crazy most of the time.
And you guys were like live blogging, and you guys were very busy.
Yeah, we were going kind of nuts. So apologies, I guess. We didn't see it. I read all about it. I've read the slideshare. I read everything after we got back. But so your talk at SMX West was based on dynamic ads, more or less. So why are dynamic ads? Why do you think dynamic ads are such an important part of the digital ad space? Big
question. Well, so whether we're talking, a flavor of dynamic ads in search, or we're talking dynamic ads in display or retargeting, there are so many ways to target an individual with a keyword, with an affinity, right? They like something, interests, demographics, all of these things. And so in a world awash in targeting, creating ads that are, pinpoint to each and every one of those can be a challenge. And so much like anything, if there's a way to gain efficiency through a certain level of automation and intelligent automation that's still governed at some level by a human, it makes a ton of sense. And so with search, years ago, it started with just DKI, right? Dynamic keyword insertion. And people laugh at me when I say that. But that is a dynamic ad, right?
That is what it is. That's actually, it says dynamic in the title.
Exactly, right? but people are like, John, no, that's not dynamic ad. It's like, shut up. Yes, it is. Okay, moving on.
You're wrong. I'm right. Get over it. I own you.
That's where it started, right? And now we've got these, ad customizers, countdown ads for sales, things like that. We can go even deeper, and Google allows us to build a database of information. Let's say you're a hotel, right? You can build out this suite of the different types of rooms you have and the locations, their prices, and then build essentially into that. If targeting equals X, serve an ad that equals Y, right, with these particular parameters. And, again, that takes time, that takes effort to build that out. But once you do, again, you're flexing some pretty strong muscle, and that's just search. And then we could take that and apply that to display. And when you start talking retargeting, things get really exciting, right? So dynamic product ads based on a customer's journey on your site, what they looked at, what they added to cart, what they bought, what they didn't buy. Again, it's just, at this point, if you're not using dynamic ads at some level, you are missing out.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So Google actually recently launched double-click dynamic ads for TV. So that was a really interesting development. I hadn't heard about any of that stuff since Google they were in the TV space 5 years ago. I didn't even know they were in the TV space.
So. Tried and failed colossally.
Right. So here they are again, though. They're back trying to make a play. So is Google gonna, in your opinion, make a comeback into the television ad market that it left a few years ago with these Google TV ads?
Yeah, my crystal ball told me to just ignore it, but beyond that...
it's just because it's a Google product. We get it, yeah.
You're right. Something new every week and something disappears next week.
Right.
However, Google has done a pretty damn good job of monetizing YouTube.
Right.
And that is, obviously, it's a different medium. It's a different intent when a person's there than when you just sit in front of your television. However, the advertising model is much the same. And so they've done a really good job there. So if they can take the smarts that they've learned from TrueView ads on YouTube and apply that at some level with television, to me, that's exciting. Now, the problem that happened before with them was adoption, right? They didn't really make it easy for people to get into the program. They tried to grease the wheels with like some help with the video creative, but it was always just Arrested Development. It never went anywhere. So, again, we'll see. They obviously they didn't own DoubleClick then. They do now. Right. That helps. They've learned from YouTube. That helps. So
Well, and with
I'm optimistic.
And with the widespread adoption of Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these other services that people are constantly on all their devices, more and more people going away from cable and getting into these other spaces so they don't have to pay for it. You get a Roku stick and you can get everything that you need for $20 a month or whatever. So with more and more people adopting those kinds of services, spending this
segment
$30.
Brought to you by Roku. No, just kidding.
Hey, listen, I have one. I'm not gonna say it's a Roku. Yeah,
and again, I'm a news junkie, particularly when it comes to the world of tech. And so I'm not sure if you guys saw, but there's also these cases being brought, against the big telecom companies, and allowing the customer the choice to buy their own, TV set-top boxes. And so there's also going to be this, assuming that wins, and I think it will, there's going to be bifurcation in that market as well, which I assume, I don't necessarily know, I assume that is part of the technology that Google would be using to get their ads through.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't want to pay for cable. I do because I have a sports problem and I can't stop watching ESPN.
I saw where Hulu's going to try and get some live sports coming up in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Yeah, if they can figure that stuff out.
If you like the NFL, I mean, the NFL is in their TV contracts for so far out into the future. I cut the cord last season as a Colts fan. One, just kind of sucked, but two.
Yeah, well, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so my entire life has kind of sucked.
Well, there you go. That's fair. But no, I agree. Sports fans, we live in our own world where it's like, well, I want to cut the cord, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I haven't been able to pull the trigger yet.
Yeah, I like watching the basketball ring too.
It doesn't matter what state you're in. The basketball ring is the same size.
Yes.
Sense an inside joke, and I love it.
Well, I don't know how inside it is anymore.
It was national news. We'll have to.
What I see on Twitter, somebody said President Cruz didn't really have the right rim to it.
Yeah. Get it? Man, just if there's one thing that you're going to get right in the state of Indiana, it should probably be the basketball thing that you say.
Yeah,
that's right. It's synonymous with Hoosier, and you're going to get slapped down.
I'm a Boilermaker through and through, so it's even. I don't know. It just hurts.
So John, there was some topics we kind of wanted to hit with. Google made some changes with some of their ads, and some of their ads are starting to display in the local search, local maps. What do you think about that? Do you think that's something that's going to be right now? I think it's only available if you click like the More Places section, so it's not readily available right within the SERP. But do you see that expanding more?
I do. Again, local search is huge, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at the world of small business, and there are more small businesses than there are just about any other type of business, of course, and so a lot of them work on a local level. So this is very important. And location extensions have been around for a long time. Again, the local pack, if you will, that SEO folks have been focused on have been around for a long time. It's really just now that we're seeing them start to converge. Mm-hmm. And from an advertiser perspective, we didn't really have to change anything.
Right. It changed for you.
The location extensions were already there.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that they opened it up, so Google Maps used to be considered a quote-unquote search partner within AdWords, and now it's not. It's just part of Google search, which I find interesting. But we've not seen anything interesting necessarily come from this data-wise. And I haven't necessarily seen any reports yet either, but this has only been, in places the 20th of April, something like that?
Yeah. What about the sidebar? They removed they had the 4 or 5 ads on the sidebar, and now it just looks silly to me with it just blank there and white screen. You think something's going to replace that?
Does it look silly?
Well, just because we're so used to it being there, that white space is just kind of scary.
It's some valuable real estate there. I mean, do you think? I know they were talking about for local,
and like you could play the devil's advocate and say, okay, Google's doing this because it's going to push people to compete
for the top
more heavily for the top. It's going to fill their coffers faster. I think that is part of it, of course. Google likes money, but at the same time, for our clients, to be honest, it's been a net positive. We've seen, a moderate bump in click-through rate. We've seen some CPCs increase, yes, but overall, like average position has increased, has lifted. And we're not crying over here. Now, are we in the minority? I don't think so. I mean, there's been some data that's come out that's shown some fluctuations in performance stats, but I don't think there's any one advertiser out there that's like, oh my God, this ruined my business.
Right. Well, and it makes sense that if you're in those top 3 spots, there's no distractions, right? You can get in those top couple of spots, and there's nothing on the right sidebar that's standing in your way.
It almost seems it does seem though that it's kind of a change in the I don't know what the word is, strategy or culture of Google, that Google was trying to catch up with inventory. Mm-hmm. You know, so they were always full. Their inventory was always packed, and so they added more and more places and more places. And now it seems to me like is it that Google search pay-per-click is down, and so they wanted to reduce the inventory? I mean, those are the questions that kind of linger in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think that inventory is bigger than it's ever been. I mean, if you look at the reporting that they put out, I haven't seen the most recent, but I did a bunch of research for a presentation I gave last week on like the display side. Holy hell, display ad growth just continues to boom.
Yep.
But with search, mobile is actually pushing the global search market forward. And granted, we're talking about desktops here, but big picture, I think what Google is doing is saying, hey, ultimately, our goal has always been, let's make the best user experience, for the person coming to Google doing a search. And I think that this falls right in line with that motto, because as we've already pointed out, it definitely makes a less cluttered search experience. It's easier to visually, right, make the decision of what am I going to click on. Like I said, people aren't really crying about it.
Well,
I think they wanted to, but net result's been, this is okay.
It's almost like they're trying to take the desktop experience and make it emulate the mobile experience.
It is.
And kind of make that smaller instead of the other way around, which is what we're used to.
So maybe kind of educate the behavior of your visitors.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That does make sense.
And it's interesting. I've been having conversations with people both in the U.S. as well as one particular gentleman, hat tip to Michael, hello, in the UK.
Hey, Michael.
Basically saying, hey, how many ads are you seeing at the top? Right. And so that's always been the question, because when this first happened, we were still seeing 3 in the top block. And then very quickly, because part of Google's announcement was 4 ads, and then we started to see 4. Now, occasionally I see 5.
And sometimes you'll just see 2.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a moving target. And, I think that the UK experience has been a little bit different. I think it was slower for them to go from 3 to 4, whereas here it's been 4 pretty consistently. But like I said, just even this morning, I saw one that had 5 ads, and I was just sitting there scratching my head going, interesting.
Yep. Quickly, we watched a brief interview that you did with Ken Weil, something from Bing Ads. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just read it on the thing,
W.
Just pick one
Ken.
way and run with it.
Yeah, right. It just sound like
Mr. W from Bing Ads, and it was a really good. I mean, it was a 1:30 clip it had some really good insight into why people should really dive into the Bing Ads. So, what are some of the big differences between Bing and Google? What are some of the larger advantages that people might find in there? And tell us a little bit more about some of the more successful campaigns that you can run inside of Bing.
Absolutely. Before I get to Bing, I'll say anyone who's watched that video, I apologize for my endless movements whilst speaking. I just can't be still when I talk.
You weren't rocking.
Be thankful this isn't video.
Yeah.
Audio, I sound like a sane human being. Visually, I'm like, dude, this guy's got Tourette's.
Yeah.
At any rate, moving on.
Moving on.
Bing. So, Bing is and continues to be the underdog here in the world of search, and that gives them a certain attitude, and not in a negative connotation, but a positive one. And so they continue to strive to provide advertisers with the tools that they just simply need, and sometimes that means catching up with parity to Google, but also just kind of giving us things that we want. And so building most recently there's the campaign planner. There's some pretty deep kind of audience insights that is outside of like a specific campaign. It's actually more like it's pre-campaign research.
Right.
What am I going to get from the Bing network, if I go after this particular target. And that's very useful information because it's pre-keyword even, right? We're all so obsessed with keyword research, and sometimes we have to take a step back from that even before we get into those details. And so super, super helpful. Again, they're not always necessarily the most innovative, but they definitely listen to their customers. And so, again, it's Microsoft we're talking about here. So there's been this age-old issue where they developed this wonderful desktop editor for PC users. And if you're using a Mac, and there's a lot of people in PPC with Macs, you didn't get it. And, the management changes at Microsoft have finally trickled through to Bing. And so, again, Bing Ads Editor for Mac is in beta. One of my employees is testing it. God bless her. She's our only Mac user. That's a whole other.
Someone's got to have someone intelligent in the office. So,
but at any rate,
we're just gonna skip over that one and go on to the next one.
Skip right over it. Yeah.
Something about smart people, and I don't know. And the next one.
Moving on.
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, Bing is doing a lot of cool stuff, really trying to enhance the user experience and just not necessarily trying to jump over what Google's done to see if they can counteract some of that stuff. I mean, they're getting more and more searches through the Bing platform. Obviously, they broke away from the whole Yahoo relationship recently to see if they could do some more stuff on their own. So they're really moving and shaking over there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the whole Yahoo situation is fascinating, right? So they're still partnered, but Yahoo is doing their own thing with Gemini.
Right. And
then they are also now backfilling inventory from Google. So Yahoo is a moving target, to say the least.
Right.
You have to be paying attention to all three of those things if you want 100% coverage on Yahoo. And we can discuss that later. But
sure.
As far as Bing is concerned, I mean, they made that transition relatively painless. They smoothed over the relationship side because there were account managers from Yahoo, there were account managers from Bing, and they basically said, okay, everybody's coming over to the Bing side. We've got you. Like, this is taken care of. And again, that was a pretty big gesture, something that I know that cost them a lot of money from a human resources standpoint. But they really stepped up to the plate to say, okay, this is complicated. We'll help to make it a little bit less so.
Yeah, that's great. So the last question that we had really for this section was that, if you had to pick an upcoming or a trending platform that's out there right now, whether it's social or it's search engine based or whatever, are there any that are trending that you'd recommend our listeners to jump on immediately, if not sooner, that they could provide some really good under the radar success?
Sure. Wow. Okay.
Boom. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay, Obama.
So, I mean, I mentioned Yahoo and
what's with the political undertones?
I
don't know. I got nothing.
'Tis the season.
I wish it weren't.
Yeah. But no, I would reference Yahoo again, if only because a lot of people are ignoring it and continue to ignore it. One, it's not just search, it's also native. And I mean, that opens up being able to place display ads on Yahoo property. And again, Yahoo, for all of their failings, is still one of the most visited web properties in the world.
Right.
And so that's a huge opportunity because otherwise you have to buy into their premium ad services.
Right.
That's crazy expensive. I think the minimum monthly threshold is somewhere around $5,000. A lot of advertisers just can't afford that. But with Gemini, you can.
Right.
And they've also added in retargeting, which is also huge. And I just got to sit in on a product feedback session with them a couple weeks ago. They are trying. And so, again, if you're not in Yahoo yet, Yahoo Gemini, that is, get there. Beyond that, I mean, Facebook is just killing it on so many levels. I haven't met too many people that haven't at least experimented with Facebook ads yet. But if you're one of those, take my advice. Get in there, get your hands dirty, and thank me later.
I'll put a recommendation out there that for people that don't follow him, Dennis Yu, YU.
Yes.
the guy is totally transparent online and crushes it sometimes, and he compares, probably all of the paid to each other, but he really shows some insight on how you can build brand awareness on some of these channels for like nothing.
Right.
It's just pennies.
Like DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. And I would throw another name out there again by the name of Tim Bird, also very sharp on Facebook. He's got a group you can request to get access to. I think it's called Facebook Ad Buyers, and it's a Facebook group. Lots of great back channel conversations happening there, and he hosts like a weekly chat almost, if you will, there. With a lot of great insight. So that's another good one to check out.
Awesome.
Cool. Oh, thanks for all this great information there, John.
Submitted to join.
Done.
Yeah, so just to wrap it up here. You said earlier you're going to speak at HeroConf and SMX West. What
SMX East.
SMX East.
Yeah.
What are some of those topics you're going to be covering at those?
Sure. Again, the shows in the fall are still TBA. Okay. But I'm going to be speaking at Insertion in Minneapolis coming up here in June, and we actually, in part, cover the topic, and that is what's happening with the Google search results. Mm-hmm. So again, limiting the right-hand ads, and I'm kind of bringing in the Bing flavor as well because they're going the opposite direction, and we didn't even touch on that today.
Right.
They're going the direction of we need more extensions, we need to bring all of these other flavors into their search results. And so it's a fascinating dichotomy to watch unfold.
Well, they have a lot more real estate with nobody looking at it, so. No, hey,
it's okay. I'll counter that jab with, again, take a look at, they're called action links. Dude, I mean, if you're into getting people to fill out forms and do exactly what you want, it's like a call to action on steroids.
I love that. No, and I'm joking.
You love steroids?
Yeah.
You and Barry.
But I joke. But some of these things that people think are obscure are actually incredible, rich, niche, opportunities for people to gain audience.
Well, especially with some of the people out there that don't have necessarily the large amounts of money to compete in some of these spaces. Right. They can really get in front of some good eyes, using some of these quote unquote under the radar or off the grid search engines that aren't off the grid at all. The rest of us know about them. It's just people don't like to use them because they're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about Google.
Yeah.
So, John, where can people find you? Twitter, Instagram?
I'm everywhere.
I am everywhere. He's big tweet afterwards.
We need an echo on that.
Right.
I am everywhere.
Yeah. No, I'm always on Twitter. I am on Facebook and Instagram, not necessarily in a business sense.
Sure. Right.
If you feel like tracking me down there, great. You're going to see a lot of pictures of my kids.
No, there you go.
But Twitter is great. LinkedIn is great as well. And then I blog a lot. The Clix site, Search Engine Watch, and SEM posts, these different types of places. So,
and your Twitter handle is John_A_Lee, correct?
Indeed.
And then you've got the Clix Marketing Twitter handle is @Clix Marketing, which again
with an X,
CLIX Marketing. All
That's
one
right.
word. Yeah.
And your favorite color is red.
And your favorite color is red. And on LinkedIn,
actually, it's the lighter blue on the Google.
And really, I wanna end the questioning with what is the baked wheat?
Oh dear Lord, that goes
nice.
back many years.
I should have asked that question first.
It was college experimentation.
It actually predates college.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So again, a lot of people assume, and I'm just going to preface it with this: a lot of people assume it's some sort of random drug reference. I promise you, it is not.
It is intentional. It's not random.
Much more benign than that. As a denizen of the internet, even as a teenager, lovely AOL, right? Dial up.
Yeah.
Be-doo. Just, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
God, this picture won't load. What the hell?
Mom, get off the phone.
Exactly. No, I'm sitting there, and I have ADD, right? Like any good digital marketer does, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my God, I haven't changed my username this week." I looked up, and the sunlight shone down from heaven on a box of crackers. It said baked wheat crackers. I was like, "Holy hell, there it is!"
There it is, done, and that's the
fantastic.
thing, and that's the thing that stuck with you. That's
okay,
the one.
I got a story like that. It's probably not safe for work for anybody listening, but my son was begging me for like 3 months to renew his Xbox live account.
Okay.
And so it wound up expiring, and so when you renewed, you couldn't get your old username back, and he had some really cool username, so I signed him up with Stinky Donut Hole.
Because at the time there was this ray of sunshine and Doug was eating a box of
So every
donut
time I
holes.
watch him play Xbox and it says Stinky Donut Hole has entered the room.
I don't think there was any sunshine involved in that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
John, well, thanks for joining us here on the show. We'd love to have you back sometime. If you follow John on Twitter at John_A_Lee. He's at Clix Marketing. They're on Twitter as well at Clix Marketing. Thanks again, there, John, and hopefully we'll see you at one of these shows here coming up.
Excellent, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
all
you,
right.
sir.